Hello, hi, and welcome to another edition of Executives Corner. My name is Simona Spilak, and I work with executives and leaders just like you in front of challenging situation or in front of a big career move or a career change. So if you would love to tackle different topics, crack some nuts. I'm intentionally using that expression, crack some nuts, then of course join us, the conversation which I will have today with Maria De Marcos, one of my great friends. And her being a business coach, I would say that she's cracking some nuts. And then I would explain it actually in the sense that talking to her makes you crack great nuts. And then inside you see those golden walnuts shining, which is your brain suddenly knowing everything what you need to know. And I believe that that's the case why today I'm so happy to have the discussion and to have the episode of Executives Corner with somebody whom I not only appreciate and cherish a lot, but whom I also respect a lot. So welcome to today's edition of Executives Corner with the topic about why and if everyone wants to be a leader. Why it seems like that everybody wants to lead. Is it true or is it not? So really warmly welcome, Maria. Hi.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Let's see if today we crack some nuts open.
No, but I intentionally used that expression. We chatted a little bit before we started, and I said, you know what?
Yes.
Every single time as I talk to you, I'm cracking some of my thoughts, and then suddenly they are transformed in those great business ideas, sometimes also a very clear business strategy. On the other hand, I exactly know what to do with my team. And the most beautiful thing, I know how I would love to appear in front of the audience, like this one here as well, what I would love to talk about and what to share and what to say and how to share my experiences with my clients. And I believe that you are the one who is really enabling that.
Thank you for giving that's a lot. That's a lot. I think
And that's the difference. I'm so quick and you're so patient.
yes. People will need to adjust to this. There is clearly a difference in tempo. Simona's mind usually works very fast, and what I do in our conversations is to translate for her. Actually, sometimes to translate herself, yeah. And that's, I think, where the clarity and also the growth for both of us comes. And what we both appreciate, not only from each other, but also, I think we go talking to each other on an ongoing basis has allowed us, and I think this is an important point for people who may be listening to us in their leadership roles, that has allowed us to really get to know ourselves and where our roads are aligned and where they differ, so that we have really dig deeper into what is that we bring to the conversation and to our clients. And I think the same applies for those of you who are in leadership roles.
Yeah, I agree. And it just said something so beautifully. I always say that if we as a coaches, we don't invest in our personal individual growth, why should others invest in working with us? And having a friend, a colleague, a coach whom I can share thoughts with, my challenges or even some pains or fears, it feels so comfortable. And then on the other hand, there is that huge value of a ongoing, not only friendship, but conversation, but really, really valuable, sometimes very practical conversations. And those are those enablers. And I would say it's kind of like building foundation for myself as a person, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, but as well as a coach. And when it's so mutual, it's the most beautiful form of, I would say, a coaching. And that's why I'm such a big supporter for a coaching program which lasts for a longer period, because every single person needs time to make a change, and so do we coaches as well. And having that conversation and opening the topic which you just started, I believe it's so relevant, so important, and so valuable, because we are all only humans with whatever role: CEO, GM, coach, entrepreneur, business owner, business coach, doesn't matter. We all face the situation where we know everything, but we don't know what to do with all that stuff in our head. We just know that we
Yeah.
are in front of that huge change, but how to deal with it? What should be this? What should be the first step? What traits should be like exposed? What traits should be hidden sometimes? And I believe that every single leader, also in 2022, is in front of such challenges. And I believe that, you know, talking about what we just planned today, what makes a leader, what traits are really outstanding and needed, and what maybe positions need that outstanding leadership. It all connects with exactly what you just said.
Mhm. So I want to ask you a question in relation to this, but before we move ahead, I think it's important also to realize that the the longer you have been in your career, whether that's as a corporate professional or as an entrepreneur, the kind of investment also changes. I'm not so sure I have Simona still on the screen, but in my experience, at the early stages of our career, we invest in capabilities, in more technical knowledge and skills, even in the so-called soft skills. But the longer we are there, the higher we climb, or the more people we have to lead and take care of, the more important it is to really invest in yourself and invest in leadership, and in other type of skills, actually, in terms of self-awareness and really learning to manage yourself.
You know, I intentionally put you on the full screen because I knew you will be saying something valuable and
Mm.
just to really put the attention to it. And yes, it's true. It's kind of like a development of every single professional. You know, we start with trainings, we learn all those practical things,
Yeah.
just like you said, then we go and use mentorship. We mentor somebody, we get mentor. Of course, it's, you know, already having that practical operational skills, and we love to share them, exchange experiences, exchange best practices. But then as suddenly we are in the phase to take over a team or to become a manager, to become a leader, then mentoring is simply not enough, because we have to look for that change in ourselves. To do that,
Yeah.
let's say discovery, inquiry, assess some of our competences and skills. And then coaching comes as a great development tool or a process.
I think also as a practical one, it gives you both sides, the capacity to go deep into who you are and how you perform. My skills are in the field of performance and communication. And really, because sometimes also we are very good at knowing how to do things, but not so good at taking action onto them. So when you really get at the critical moment, you messed up. But yeah, those things are really relevant at that level. But I wanted to ask you, because we have also chosen the title of traits and leadership traits for 2022. What
Mhm.
have been, according to you, the changes, and what are we heading towards in terms of which kind of leadership we need?
Mhm. You know, I love that somebody is asking a question, so I'm not being the only moderator or host on that show. But, you know, I wouldn't say that 2022 is different than it was a previous year or 10 years ago. But what is different is the need out there. And what is different is the most probably the amount of challenges put in front of and in the heads of leaders, and being able to cope with that. It's simply, it isn't enough simply just to use the previous experience, previous knowledge, on really to rely on self-confidence and everything what we've done in the past, or what leaders have been doing and how they were been managing some of the difficult critical situations, how they've been making their decisions. It requires something completely different, I would say, but so existing and so present constantly. It requires a leader as a person, as a human being, really to dive deep, what you just started a little bit, to dive deep into their own personality, not only being able to understand what they are capable of, where their potentials lies, where they can have quick wins. It's not about action so much as it is about aligning the actions with the needs of their organization, with the requirements of the external world, of the industries, but those to be aligned with their own personal values, and with them feeling good with every single decision they make, feeling comfortable with actions which they take. I believe it requires that understanding of who we are as a human being and who we are as a person. And it does not rely so much anymore on that our professional persona. It really relies on us as a person, because more and more, and what I see it as a huge trend, as a huge need as well, is the fact that leaders simply have to show off as people as well as humans, and humans not only in the sense being compassionate and showing empathy, but as well being real, who they are, with all their fears, with all their struggles, and just talk about them. And to be able to talk about our most intimate struggles as a leader, as that high performing professional, as a CEO, it requires courage. But on the other hand, it also requires to have somebody next to you whom you can share all of that, who sometimes can also make aware a leader of the fact that what's needed out there. So to make it simple or in short, I believe that besides all the expertise, all the professionalism, all the knowledge about the industry, all that action taking and courage of decision making, what requires is also to show vulnerability and to show that a leader, a CEO, or that high performing professional is only a human as well. And I believe that here is exactly the lesson for leaders, but as well for employees and for colleagues to be able to learn from what leader experienced in the face of the most difficult challenge, but as well of the biggest personal struggles. So I'm not saying, no, you should go out as a leader and cry and constantly complain and share all your struggles, just to explain how you dealt with that difficult situation, how you dealt with your personal crisis, how you are dealing with your very well-known work-life balance, how you deal with a very difficult competitor. So to share how you deal with difficult, tough, challenging, critical, or maybe dangerous situations.
I think I would even add another layer to that. As an addition, no? Which is something I come across as well. It's like how important it is to really know your personality so that you step into your own leadership style and not into somebody else's. Yeah. And that allows really to develop more easily this confidence that you were talking about. So some people are, if I go like through 6 different traits, some people may be able to lead on their research capacities, and the capacity to detect on needs and fear, you know. Some people may be leading on their naturalness, how easy it is for them to do something, or the capacity to experiment, the capacity to network and to build meaningful connections. Ours, which is the capacity to really problem solving in the sense of giving the guidance or re-initiating people. And then the role model. And if you identify this for yourself, in one of the ways we use our personality evaluation methods, it's really useful to become strong in who you are and not attempt to step into somebody else's shoes.
You know what? I believe that there is a catch in like very early history related to the assessment, that attractive verb of profiling, assessing, whatever word we use, everybody. And then simply it comes like granted that everybody knows their profile and that everybody carries the awareness. But you know, that's not the story. The story about profiling is that you gain the awareness about your potential, about potential risks areas, about as well the areas where you should never tackle, but where you should really build as a leader team around yourself. But the awareness itself, it's not enough. You have to act based on that. And here I have a wonderful expression, because knowing your profile, knowing your competency profile, knowing the traits where we are the strongest or where you are stronger as a leader, it's only a science. But then how you mold that in your leadership style, that's an art. So it should be science and art. And a lot of leaders forget about the art. They're just using those practical information, and then they kind of try to behave based on the feedback which they gain, because you know we are all intelligent. But how to mold that into a leadership style, that's art. And then on top of that, that leadership style should be something natural and authentic. And here, that person being a human, showing off how we are reacting as a
Mhm.
person in a specific situation, here the biggest benefit of an assessment or a profile or knowing our profile comes in.
Yeah. And I think also next to that comes the skill to really be able to release yourself from old habits and to relearn. As you were speaking, I was my eye like because I think it's an anecdote that many people could relate to. I was talking to somebody. She's a business owner, and
Mm-hmm.
she's hiring her team. It's a small company, and she said, "I really have a problem with like the way people." Bring their patterns from previous jobs. She said, like when I am
Mm-hmm.
hiring somebody who is under 35 to 45, they really got a way of doing, a manner of doing, which is related to their former employer or manager and so on. And they pretend that here is going to be the same, where actually I need something entirely different. And then from younger employees, I have the problem that they never did it. So they don't know even that I am expecting that from them. And no matter how much I communicate to them, these things don't merge, don't orchestrate well. And
Mm-hmm.
she had a very good point about employees having the capacity to change habits and to adapt, to
Yeah.
understand what is being needed from them. And I think it's nice to bring it in the conversation because sometimes we focus on leadership, but I think we need to have a vision of the whole, no? How that whole team is functioning.
Yeah. And leadership comes down to that lowest level in the organization. When a person has a team or one team member, we talk already about leadership. So leadership is not only at the top, like the CEOs and the
Hmm.
leadership GM level. It starts with a team member if there is a team lead. And it's so important because usually companies do invest in that leadership, developing leadership at the top levels, but they forget simply to look what's going on in the lower levels. But that's where leadership is lived. And that's where I believe exactly what you just said jumps in as well. How do we recruit people on those levels? How do those team leads decide on that? And connecting to other point, what I was thinking about, as you mentioned the story, how do we hire people? We all started with like hiring mini-me's. Then we somehow got the awareness, oh, that's not right, because we should hire for diversity, for different characters, different traits, because that supports innovation, that supports creativity. But on the other hand, what we also carry with ourselves is the baggage or the heritage of our previous experience.
Yeah.
Here, exactly what happens that we just simply think we should copy paste. And sometimes we do that, like we hired minimes, then we copy paste because we have that experience. But what usually I face with my clients is that they miss to reflect on their previous decisions
Hmm.
or previous actions, and just to reflect on that, rethink and remold it in a completely new environment, for example, or a new setup or a new size of the organization or a new industry, because simply copy pasting doesn't work. Absolutely not. But on the other hand, I would say that one of the most important leadership traits is being able to forget what we achieved and as leaders, and just be aware that what brought us here might not bring us
Hmm.
there or on the next phase. And it's a simple wording, simple saying, but I see
Good.
it so often be forgotten
Yeah.
because there has to be a self-confidence, and everybody thinks if you build one great global pharma company, then becoming a CEO of a new one, you will do the same. But the time changes, the challenges change, the industry change, some consumers' patience do change, and it has to be taken into the consideration.
Hmm.
And from my corporate pharma career, I was able to watch some of such careers of big CEOs, successful CEOs entering the company, but copy pasting the successes in the past,
Hmm.
but they failed. And
Yeah.
we are now coming back to us being a person or a human, how we also act towards ourselves. Do we take time to reconsider our actions? Do we pay attention what just happened? Do we delete something from the past because it didn't work? Do we take time to reflect, whatever that reflection means? Meditation, mental training, or mental fitness, or just taking time to, to observe what happens and to decide that some things we should rather delete than reuse or copy paste.
And to really have a good skill in your hands about how do you reset, because this is something we speak about also everywhere, like change management, and we need to change and we need to be flexible and to adapt. And I find that often that's
Easy
one of
to say,
the
hard to do.
yes, these like big theoretical models that we all know that we should be doing, like, and we put that burden on us. But at the critical moment, even though we made up our mind and we reflected on it, we act usually the old way. And that requires a high level of self-management to be able to.
Yeah, I know. Exactly as I said, it is a gift, the previous past experience, so it can be a burden. But we usually love to consider it as a gift and reuse it because it worked. And that's a
Yeah.
trap. And I believe it's a trap for a lot of high level leaders, also world-class leaders, I would say. But we are only humans. And in the situations where you have to act fast, where you know that the responsibility is 100% on you because the last word is yours, then usually that's the trap.
Yeah.
And here, the second brain, like I love using the expression when I talk to you, having a second brain, just to see, if I'm saying that, how that other brain is responding, that's so valuable because it's kind of that reset check, reevaluation, and also reflection. Reflection doesn't have to be in alone, me, myself, and I, and me reflecting, or me, myself, and I actions. The beauty of reflection is to be able to share with somebody who just listens and asks great, deep, open-ended questions, and just for us to get that insight. And it's powerful because then we, as a leader or leaders or my clients, they come to the conclusion, and it's theirs. It's not from somebody else, but with the help with, let's call it a second brain or the other brain.
See, and I think this is important, as many leaders will be doing this with their colleagues or their team. In either format, it's like you have a leadership coaching style, or coaching leadership style, or mentorship style. I think it's very important to realize, and you have to know it also in first person before you are able to do with somebody else's, and to do it in depth. To what extent these processes are relevant. Also because you said second brains, which is expression that you and I indeed we use when working with each other, but also this like the different capacity in which each of us is functioning. For instance, in my experience, you have a great capacity to guide people through processes. If I reflect on my own work, I think I have a great capacity to move people, to push them, to get them over the hurdle. And I may not be so great at being there for somebody for months and months, like holding the space. No, because I want to see the change. So I think also to really get to know yourself in your leadership capacity involves to be able to know what do you bring into the conversation? What's your style? What's your value? Because I was also reflecting about, like, nowadays we speak about leadership and then we get somebody into that certain position. And I want to know your opinion about this, because when I reflect on it, I think, okay, the fact is that things changing so quickly. Companies do not need the same type of leader all the time at a certain position or in charge of a team. So got my mind thinking in like, how could we build more flexibility into who we have in that leadership position at a given moment.
Before I go into that, I would just like to explain something. Borrowing somebody's brain, like using that expression, second brain, it doesn't mean that if we are discussing that I'm using your brain and you're giving me all the answers or all the
No.
ideas, the expression, but I would love to clarify that here the expression stands for having somebody's brain who works or operates in a different sphere, in a different way. Just like you said, if I'm guiding, then you are able to kick my ass, but in the sense of asking me questions, so I come to the conclusions or I come to the decisions or I'm feeling at ease to make a decision. So just for everybody to be clear on that.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads also to the flexibility. We have to be flexible to, first of all, to accept who we are. Second of all, to accept the fact that some things simply don't work, either our actions or that it doesn't work for us as a position. And I believe that the biggest responsibility and accountability for a CEO or a leader to move from one position to other is on himself. To be able to recognize that somebody else with a different set of skills, competences, knowledge, or experience might be more successful, might work better as a leader in that specific company, organization, or position.
Yeah.
And here the flexibility jumps in, once again is on us, or once again is on leaders for them being flexible themselves. And once again, to be that walk the talk person, showing others how it should be done. Because the worst case is if they have to be kicked out, and then we have the struggles building up an image, changing a career, or making a next move. So, and having the awareness and knowing our profile as a leader, or the potentials, and knowing our capabilities, skills, competences, the flexibility is one of them, absolutely. And that's the way how the change is done. It's not outside, it's in us, and it's our own personal responsibility, and it's a responsibility of every single leader. And if they are not capable to do that, then don't be a leader.
I was noting down some of the skills that we are mentioning, so we can collect it at the end. Probably I will miss a few because you speak fast as I cannot cope with it.
My brain works that way, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. That's one of my challenges as a coach, but also as a person or as a woman. Sometimes I have to slow down, and everybody does, and that's another piece of flexibility, pardon, as well. To be able to slow down, not only in the sense of how quickly we speak, but as well in the sense of what challenges do we put in front of ourselves, what goal, how many goals do we set. Have that clarity and as well focus, and focus is important. And flexibility in that sense, to be able to understand what's relevant, what's strategically important, and what will help us move the fastest and the most successful way, or at the end, what will really make us feel good. That's important as well. And it has to do a little bit with the speed as well. But I'm that hyperachiever, so it's hard for me to to slow down instead of really having conversation just like we have, on somebody noticing it, like you, for example. And that's how I borrow your brain. So thank you very much.
I think it's also interesting to share our own struggles, because you have your company, I have mine, and so therefore we also have our own leadership role, and not easy one, because we have to tackle many things at the same time. So sometimes our mind goes in all directions, and you share yours about your hyperachievement. If I share mine, I think I can also share part of that. And for me, what has been a struggle, and I have to be honest, like a long-term learning, it's like as quick as my mind is to create, to envision, to see see the possibilities, see the need, and put the idea on the table. Then I really need to partner with somebody who brings it to the end. And to ask for that support, oh la 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 la.
It's easier for me. Create all those things, and some people are creators, innovators. Some of them are finishers, strivers, and that's different profiles which we have as well. And you know what I would do here, because I didn't until now. If you are out there listening to us and you have a question or you just have a comment, please do join us in the comments below, or just reach out. We will try to tackle every single challenge you set in front of us. So what you just heard was the hyperachiever approach. Maria would formulate it completely differently.
So we have a few characteristics already. I think I would like to add another one, if I
Yeah.
may, which is like in terms of awareness. We also speak a lot about as a leader, you need to be aware, self-aware, aware of the processes, aware of the needs, aware of where the company, aware of the market. But I think if I look at it more inwardly, I think inwardly as of the person, it's like you need a lot of awareness in the now. Like, so what's happening now, what's being needed now. And when that is not present, it can easily turn into fear. So I want to present like the two of them. Awareness in the now, otherwise turning into fear. I think also awareness through time. So how things may happen one after the other. And when that is not there, then usually it turns into doubt. I also see this a lot nowadays because we have such a lot of uncertainty that we sort of, we, how do you say this? Pressure is too high. The mental pressure and the pressure to perform and the burden is just too high. So lacking this awareness in time, how the processes happen, how much time do they need, really puts us under the pressure of not performing enough and having lots of self-doubts. Heads goes everywhere. This I also know very well myself. And then there is the awareness of the emotional wisdom. So like to be able to tap into your emotional radar about what's happening and to give time, not to react. When that is not developed, then you go very easily into reactivity. And you find very good leaders with very good potential and actually a very good record. But some of them tell me like, you know what, I'm very aware that I have a boomerang effect in my team.
Yeah.
Like I come there and I put my many ideas all over the table and I trigger an effect that as soon as I see it happening in front of my eyes, I realize I shouldn't have done that, but it's too late. That's emotional wisdom.
Yeah, but you know what you just described is called self-leadership, and it starts with self-awareness.
Exactly.
And the next phase is self-acceptance. And I would believe everything has to have a foundation of self-care. And once again, we are there, you know, if we don't know, or if you as a leader don't dedicate some time and to your self-care, to self-accept yourself as you're already aware who you are, you can't develop a self-leadership. And self-leadership style is as important as it is leading others. And here is usually what's also missed. And I believe that you are going that way as far as I was able to understand. And, you know, leading others simply means that, first of all, we have to know how to lead ourselves. Not only manage our time and such a thing and similar things. And we have one comment here, and it's for David, and he said, "Thanks for your time." It says, "Thanks for your time. What should the leader pay attention to in 2022, especially given the 2-year period behind us?" Or if I ask differently, what qualities of a leader will, in your opinion, be the most crucial in the near future? I believe we tackled some of those, didn't we, Maria? You are better in summarizing.
I sum it up, David, that I have. And I think it's good to watch the recording afterwards because I may have missed a few. But I think we started with the capacity to be aware.
Yeah.
The capacity to be responsible. So to take, as what Simona was saying, to work on your own self-leadership. And to take responsibility for your leadership style, for your personality traits, for not trying to step into somebody else's shoes, but your own leadership, and to really make something solid out of it. Also, that includes what Simona mentioned about accepting who we are and to be accountable for ourselves and our vision and decisions and our colleagues, of course. To be flexible. Yes, actions. To be flexible so that we are able to move on time from one position to another and I think this also relates very much to humbleness and confidence and humility of like my work is done here. I have to move forward.
Agreed.
And then you also mentioned the capacity to be focused, which I think also needs to bring under good management, fear, doubt, and reactivity, especially with all the pressure we are going through. And you also mentioned one, which is understand what's relevant. This you included, and I want to mention the article that you published last month, being relevant and understanding what is relevant for the company, for the industry. And you added one that, come on, we have to be very aware of it, which is also satisfaction. What brings us satisfaction?
Yeah. What makes us feel good? What, satisfaction can be from here to here, many things, exactly. And we as individuals and people have to find what satisfied us, in the sense of not only being happy, achieving results, feeling good, but as well something what really fills our batteries, but our inner batteries. That piece of our brain, that emotional brain, which says to us, you are good, you should feel good, and you will be good, or everything is okay. Like sometimes that simple, those simple words, like I'm okay, are you okay, or everything will be okay. It's something what's so empowering, but we often forget about that. And it's about self-gratitude, self-care, self-leadership, all of that wrapped in those simple words.
Yeah. And I think also communication. I mean, this is a basic one. At the end is what you said at the beginning. These are traits that are like long lasting.
Yeah.
But some of them will become very relevant, and I think communication will be one of them, because
Agree.
you will need to align. I mean, complex. The problems are so complex, and many of them so new, that we need to know very well how to ally with other people, other skills, different brains than ourselves. And if we are not able to orchestrate this.
Yeah, and then, Maria, in those complex world and complex situations, how to make it really simple, how to communicate in simple ways so everybody understands. And I remember what our first discussion was about, and then many afterwards, in between the two of us, in majority, me having that long, like monologue of different things, speaking very quickly and loudly, and you just summarizing it in one simple sentence. And sometimes also the most experienced people, the most experienced leaders do need somebody like you, or borrowing your brain to lead them in that simplification of either their style, leadership style, their communication style, or just their positioning as an entrepreneur out there.
Yeah.
Social media. So
I think what's important here also to take load from our shoulders, everybody's shoulders, is that no matter really like how experienced you are, actually sometimes the more experience you have in your field, the more difficult this gets. And sometimes it also feels like a heavy burden to think I should be able, I should be able because I mastered this. And I'm sure that I say this out loud and people would say, yes, this is obviously the case. So it's not something weird, but it's still something that at the critical moment we keep trying to do on our own, instead of reaching out and asking for guidance or support or the push to get this done. And there we lose very valuable time and very expensive time as well. Sometimes that can really cost
a lot.
A lot of money.
Exactly. But on the other hand, a lot of time. And, there are like three components of which leaders really are thinking about. One is money. The second one is about their success and achievements. And the third one is really the risk which they are taking. And it's all of them are really, really connected. And we should thank you, David, because you really led us to that great conclusion of the summary of what we discussed. And you know what? You just remembered me. Remind me on a very good saying. I was exchanging some of the comments last week on LinkedIn about coaching something up and down. And one of my great colleagues, but as well my coach trainer, Peja Jovanovic, was sharing that a lot of people understand support in the form of coaching as a pure, in that essence of coaching. Only like 18% of those people understand it as a pure coaching. The rest, like 30% or 20%, are going more for a mentoring combination with coaching or counseling or a training. And then I commented on that and I said, you know what, actually it has to do with the fact that nobody wants to bet 100% on themselves. It's easier to have a guiding hand. It's easier to have somebody you can lean on, and it's easier just to ask somebody, how shall I do that? But at the end of the day, that's not coaching. Coaching is about guiding you and leading you through the challenges which you have or you might have as a leader, and then to find and mold your own path and style how you will solve that, because then the inner and personal change really happens. And the most beautiful thing which happened out of that exchanging those opinions online was that Peja commented, exactly because what you said, that nobody wants to bet 100% on themselves. Exactly. That's why coaching is a tool only for champions. I believe it's so powerful. You have to have guts. You have to have courage to bet 100% of yourself. And if there is somebody out there who would like to 100% bet on themselves and be a champion, then do use a coaching as your development approach or program.
We summarized it.
Somehow I did me in my own way, in my own hyperachiever.
We got it for today, I think.
So thank you very much for being my guest once again, Maria. Thanks a lot to everybody for joining us, spending time with us. Thanks a lot to everybody who will share this link with people out there, with leaders out there who might need it. You might not be the one needing it, or you're just avoiding the topic. But if you know somebody who might benefit from our discussion, mine's and Maria's, then of course feel free to share it or just reach out in the direct DM either to me or to Maria. We will be happy to respond. Of course, if you would love to have that one-on-one, confidential and very private conversation. So Maria, thank you very much for being my guest, and thanks a lot for borrowing me your brain sometimes in the form of those great questions, which then lead me to a fast actions.
And the other way around for your super quick and laser guidance.
So
I'm heading for my holidays.
Hey, you see, you're up. So thanks a lot. I'll see you soon. I know. Enjoy your time off, filling in your batteries. Take some time to calm down. I promise I'll do the same.
Okay. Enjoy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao. So thank you very much for being here with me and with Maria. And thanks a lot for spending your time and investing your time in listening to stories, experiences, advices, listening to explanation what coaching is, what it should be, how we actually decide as a person, not only as a leader, if we want to grow, and what's the best approach to get to that growth or the goal which we set for ourselves. And if you're brave enough, then choose coaching. If not, you can still go for a mentoring or a counseling. Everything is out there. It's your choice, your path, and whatever you choose is the right one. Thank you very much for being here with me today. I'll see you next Monday at 6 p.m. CET time, same channel, same episode, similar topic about leadership challenge and everything what comes with it. Take care. I wish you a wonderful day, wonderful morning, wonderful evening, and see you next time. Bye-bye. Ciao.